Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to discuss 5 things that can set you apart as a medical billing and coding specialist. So if you're curious about what can set you apart from other candidates for jobs or just make you stand out in this career, I have got some amazing tips, so stick around. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Victoria. I am a medical coder, auditor, educator, content creator, and on my channel, I provide tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you be successful in a medical coding career. If you haven't already, highly encourage you to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can get alerts when I post new episodes. One of the first things I want to talk about today is externships. So why are externships and internships so important? Well, they're very crucial on bridging that gap between your technical, theoretical knowledge versus your real world application. They provide that first taste into the field of what things are going to look like when you are working in the industry. Oftentimes you get to work hand in hand with other medical billers, coders, revenue cycle professionals, supervisors, or even healthcare providers. So you can absorb some of their expertise and learn about the different things that you will have to do in this job, all the nuances of things like how certain insurances want certain things submitted, or who's going to pay for certain services, how to code for different scenarios for different insurances. One of the common complaints you hear in medical billing and coding is, oh, I got my certification, but now I'm having trouble getting experience, and a lot of people want experience in order to find a job. Not all of them, but some of them. So having that externship gives you that real world experience. It gives you that extra thing that you can put on your resume that's going to look like, hey, I didn't just easily pass this exam, like I have some experience, I know what I'm doing. And that's why I partner with organizations like Preppy. You can find out more about Preppy by signing up for my free career masterclass at medicalcodingmasterclass.com. It tells you all about a career as a medical billing and coding specialist, what certifications to go for, what training should look like, how long it should take, and it tells you about Preppy, which is the program that I endorse because it checks off all of those boxes. It makes things so easy, and they take the best care of my viewers and offer them things that I couldn't offer them, that no one else tends to offer them, things like a college certificate of completion and an externship. Head over to medicalcodingmasterclass.com and I will also link it in the description of this video. As far as finding an externship, be very proactive. Look at the different organizations out there and ask if they accept interns or externships. Don't just wait for someone in your career path, your career counselor or whatever through your organization to find it for you. The AAPC does have what they call Project Extern, XTERN. I will link that in the video as well. That is oftentimes very region-based, so they only have externship sites available in certain areas, but it is a resource that you should look into. And make sure that you have a professional portfolio or at least a resume put together so that you can show your academic achievements to these potential externship sites. And above anything else, network, network, network. Get involved in your local AAPC chapter because those are the people that are going to know where these sites are. They're going to know where job opportunities are. They're going to be able to set you up for success. Now, the second thing that can set you aside is if you have experience in professional fee coding, so coding for provider services like surgeons and family doctors and CRNPs and midwives, but also inpatient coding experience. Can you code for services that are rendered in the hospital inpatient facility setting? Why limit yourself to one when you can do both? I mean, don't learn both of them at the same time and get confused because there are different guidelines for pro fee coding versus inpatient coding. Things like probable suspected diagnoses and when you can use those and when you can't. And of course, there's PCS coding involved in inpatient coding, which they don't train you for and say the CPC. But if you want to cast a wide net and be like, look, I can do both of these things, I can do this language and this language, it's going to be so beneficial. It will cast that wide net and you will be able to apply to more positions. And say you're working in E&M coding and you're like, I really don't like this. It will give you that opportunity to say, okay, well, not only could I maybe move into surgical coding, but I could move into inpatient hospital coding as well if something opens up there. Having options is never a bad thing. So you can invest in specialized courses that offer both those trainings. There are some places that will train for outpatient and inpatient coding, but look at your certifying bodies. AAPC is more so known for outpatient professional risk adjustment, And HEMA is more known for inpatient, but a lot more employers now are also accepting AAPC's inpatient credential, the CIC. You can get certified with both AAPC and a HEMA, but if you're already with AAPC and you're like, I don't want to pay 2 membership fees or worry about 2 sets of CEUs, get the CPC, get the CIC. Or if you're like, you know what, I want to get a feel for a HEMA, I want to be involved in more than one society, I don't mind the additional membership fee, I don't mind the additional CEUs, because AAPC CEUs do cross over to a HEMA, you can go ahead and register for a HEMA and take the CIC over there. The third thing is having social proof. We're a very digital era, and having a good internet presence can set you ahead. Having a published article or being a public speaker can skyrocket your credibility. It's about creating a brand for yourself and being a thought leader in your domain. One of the easiest things you can do is write an article for Healthcare Business Monthly. You do not need to be the master of all things medical coding, but if you know enough about one subject matter that you can write a handful of paragraphs about it, you can send that to the editors at Healthcare Business Monthly. They will polish it all up. It will look spectacular, and they will send it out to publication. One of the things I do want to mention, though, on this subject, because I did hear them say this at the recent HealthCon Regional, 2 key things. Do not plagiarize. Don't just copy things out of the CPT manual, paste that in, copy things from some other resources, paste that in. Don't have ChatGPT write it for you. They can develop your outline with AI. You can edit things with AI, but don't just submit an article that is like 90% generated by ChatGPT. You can also do things like get involved in your local chapter. So maybe if you're not ready for public speaking just yet, you can volunteer as a chapter officer and start getting familiar with introducing yourself. Or you could join your local Toastmasters association that helps people out with public speaking. Or even something like going to conferences and asking questions of the panel, being familiar with standing up and asking questions and having that conversation. Also, if you want to go to the NAMUS conference, that's my favorite conference of the year. It comes up every year around December. Check the link in the video description. I have a code Victoria10 that will take you 10% off of the NAMUS conference. It's an auditing conference. It is spectacular. That is a fantastic one to go and network with people and get involved. And when you get to that level where you're doing auditing and compliance, sometimes NAMUS will tap you on the shoulder to do some articles or different pieces of content for them. And as you evolve, keep an eye out for that call for speakers for the AEPC regionals and national conferences. The fourth thing is your soft skills. So we talk about the hard skills, things like being able to code a surgical chart or E&M charts, but soft skills are the things that are not your technical skills. So things like communication, like teamwork, adaptability, problem solving, empathy, time management, even your leadership skills. In a field that can feel kind of cold and intricate and technical, sometimes that human touch really is the key. And there is training and workshops that you can take on things like communication that can help you out in these parts, things like your teamwork or even your time management. Another thing you should try out is practicing a lot more active listening. So many people tend to listen, and instead of really paying attention to what's going on, like they're formulating their response. And I used to get so frustrated because I would have people that I would work with, and I would sit and I would listen to someone, and another person in the office would just interject. Like I would take a second or two to really process what that person said, and they assumed that maybe I was not going to respond, but it's because I was actively listening to that person. I wasn't listening just to formulate a response and get in there. I was really pondering over and thinking about what they were saying to me. You can even check on books or even audiobooks. I personally am a fan of Audible, so you can check out some audiobooks that you can listen to on your commute or while you're working and work on some of those soft skills. Now, the fifth and final thing is your tech savviness. The days of not being able to save a web page or a Word document as a PDF are going to be long gone. The world is going digital and medical coding is starting to pick up on that. More employers are looking at their employees that are located all across the nation and they're going, we don't want to have to ship you paper books. We want you to use ebooks. We want you to use encoder tools, especially those encoder tools, the code lookups. They're going to want you to be able to use those. So things like Microsoft Office skills are going to be baseline standards. They're going to want you to know more than that. You're going to have to start learning a lot of medical record systems, eventually navigating through them, trying to figure out the audit trail of who put what in the medical record at what time. They really want you to optimize your workflow to stay accurate and stay compliant. So take some time out of your schedule and dedicate it to learning more things about the software that you're already using. I use Codify and I probably only use a fair portion of it. I'm sure there's a lot of advancements that I don't use. And I could spend my time, for example, diving into some tutorials and playing with that a little bit more and learning more about the different aspects of the software that I don't use. You can even do things like join online forums to talk about the different technologies that are emerging, or maybe even consider some different certifications in technologically based programs. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some more certifications or trainings emerging specifically to artificial intelligence and how that is going to play in the healthcare field, especially surrounding compliance risks. So there you have it. There are my 5 pillars that I think will help set you apart in the medical billing and coding world. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Also, if you want some more great information, you might want to check out this video. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. And until then, just keep on coding on.